Hey guys, I've been trialling some revolutionary new swim tech and now you can get your hands on it too. This is EO Swim Better, a swimming evolution in the palm of your hands. Improve your technique with EO Swim Better.
Analyze your stroke technique with EO's Swim Better handset. Go to eolab.com, use code BRETT at checkout and save 10%. We individualize training in the pool, so why not individualize your nutrition? Erica Beine of Beine Wellness Building will help you and your swimmers get exactly what each athlete needs through genetic testing and personalized nutrition plans. So stop guessing what you should and shouldn't be putting into your body. Athletes within a few weeks have noticed they're recovering faster because they're fueling their body with what they need and staying away from what their body hates. Erica understands swimming. She gets it. She's worked with over 20 Olympians, including the fastest man in the world, Caleb Dressel. Group discounts are available, so go to Beine Wellness Building and get in touch with Erica today. That's Beine, B-E-I-N-E, wellnessbuilding.net. Technical glitches all around here, but we've got this thing going, mate, and we are good to go. All right, so where are you coming from?
Gold Coast, believe it or not, surface paradise. Just finished morning practice, raced home, and it's a beautiful day. We've had a big week at training, so you've got me in a really good mood, and yeah, ready to rock and roll.
Surfers paradise, mate. How many people can say they live in a place called Surfers Paradise?
It's a surfer's dream too. Like, not many that I know of. Everyone sort of, is in love with the Burleigh, the Mermaid area, and no wonder it's a fantastic area of the Gold Coast as well. But this is my little niche, and I'm happy to be here.
That's amazing, mate. So you took over the Bond program. How long ago was that now?
So off the back of Tokyo Olympics, I had a little bit of a break, and then we started setting up the program here at Bond, and we took over from Richie Scarce, and pretty much kept all of the staff there. The facility is second to none, and it was just a matter of putting the program together, and slowly and steadily it's happening, and we've got some unbelievable young talent in the program, and it's building quite excitingly.
Tell us about a couple of kids that are in your program now.
Probably I'd start with Minna Atherton. Unfortunately, Minna's had some injuries of late.
Yeah, what's going on with her?
Yeah, she's had some knee issues, and they're issues that aren't quick fixes. So very frustrating. We've got a great staff. Swimming Australia supports us with great physios and great doctors, and as well as QAS. We've just been going through procedure and process in regards to try and fix the issue, and we slowly got there. It took us a lot longer than we would like to have, but we were patient. Min's been back in the water for a little while now, and
was it a swimming injury or was it out of the water?
I think it was just a wear and tear issue. So possibly over the years, what swimmers are like. They sort of have that very high pain threshold, and it's you just treat, you recover, you rest, you repeat, and I think it just got to us over time, and we needed to take a break and give it a proper break, because everything we were trying wouldn't allow us to train at 100% capacity. So we thought that's crazy, like you can't train at full capacity. We felt as though we were better off sort of like giving it a proper rest and giving ourselves that chance to come back and start again with an opportunity of 100% ability.
Yeah, she came on hot for a second there. Like, I think I was at one of the meets. I think it was maybe an ISL meet where she broke a world record at an ISL meet. Is that correct?
Yeah. So very good skills. Very good technician.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of our game. And, to have an injury to the knees was a bit of a blow, but just tremendous with her commitment to the little things that are required around recovery and the ability to sort of mentally be aware of what we're trying to do and be patient and be due diligent around the process of coming back. So it's been a while. So Min's there, Flynn, he's over at World Juniors at the moment.
Mm.
Milla Jansen. I think you had Mia O'Leary on the other day on one of the podcasts. Josh Collett. Just a host of like really, really top-ranked juniors, national Australian junior champions, and with their best swimming in front of them. Training capacities at a very low level as well. So we've got plenty of scope there to add things, strings to the bow. So just probably no big names as such, but we've got some big talent there, that's for sure.
Mate, how did you get to this point where you're running one of the best young programs in Australia? And Australia's hot right now, mate. It's a hotbed for swimming. I mean, they just basically won the gold medal tally at the World Championships and going into the Olympics as the hot team in the world. And you're running one of the big young programs. So how'd you get to that point, mate?
I'm not too sure. It's a good question. No one's ever asked me that question, so therefore I haven't got an answer ready to fire. But maybe I just enjoy that long-term athlete development program. That's really important for development. I think the last maybe 10 or 12 athletes that we've been fortunate enough to put on the national team have been rookies, first timers. So maybe I've just got a process that develops over time, and I'm at Bond University for a start. So my last 2 jobs have been university. So I feel as though I have a point of difference around that whole student athlete philosophy and the holistic balance that's required to to have long-term jeopardy, but also success. So maybe someone just saw that and reached out, and the rest is history. But very honoured, very thankful, actually, very, very thankful that someone has given me the chance. It's been a dream run so far.
Well, I mean, the athletes are putting their trust in you, and for that responsibility, you have to know what you're doing. And so in order to know what you're doing, you have to have developed a philosophy. You have to stand on this foundation. And I've been kind of doing the rounds with some coaches lately and digging into a little bit of their philosophy. So when it comes to the things that you believe in, and I think Mia even touched on some of this the other day, where she was talking about the 17 and 4. I mean, that's a really interesting theory and an interesting way of cutting things up. Like, but how do you get to the point where you stand on this philosophy that you believe in and works, and you buy into it, and you get your athletes to buy into it? How do you get to that point where you've developed this philosophy?
I think it just came out of necessity in regards to getting athletes to a certain level with the information that I had, and a lot of my information around the sport was borrowed. I sort of joked with a few of my mates. I used to call myself a mongrel. I was a bit of this and I was a bit of that, but I never really had my own philosophy. And I'd borrow a set from Dennis Cottrell because he was successful, and I wanted to be successful. And I borrowed a set from Michael Bowl because his athletes were successful. I wanted my athletes to be successful. And I think I got to a stage with a few athletes that were very good, and they were very diligent with their training habits. I don't think they could have lifted any heavier. We couldn't have trained any more sessions. There's always that ability to improve technique and skill, right? But it still wasn't going to take us from a 226 down to a 219 for the women's 200 breaststroke, say. And and I thought, well, I've got an athlete here that probably can, but it's not going to happen with this sort of philosophy. And then I realized it was never my philosophy. What is my philosophy? And I didn't have one. So I started doing some research, and I started looking at energy systems and power and capacity, and I think that's sort of. And then I looked at probably the whole holistic balance that's required for long-term jeopardy, not just for athletes but for coaches as well. And I think I might have saw a podcast just recently where you're talking about coaches are either all in, all out, and just being mindful of that balance, that holistic balance for both parties, because it is a partnership. So it has to be a good, healthy balance there. And I think just over the years, I was fortunate enough back in the day to run across Dr. Jan Prince from the University of Hawaii. He was doing some really innovative things back in those days, and Jan Olbrichts and Paul Mears and all those sort of guys that were sort of trailblazing around this whole power and capacity philosophy, and I liked it. It made sense to me, but again, it still wasn't my own philosophy. It was a borrowed philosophy, and I just really didn't want to look back on my time as a coach.
Mm.
Not have really done anything. I've taken the baton, but I've pretty much given it back to the next guy in the same shape. And I think I would have had regret there. And I actually didn't challenge myself to be the best coach for the athletes that entrusted in me, like we talked about earlier. So I worked with Dr. Mark McKean and my colleague at the time, who was head of our para program at USC. And we challenged ourselves. We had a lot of conversations, a lot of meetings, put a lot of people around a table, fighting questions, defended philosophies and theories. And over a period of time, we just sort of massaged this idea. And with this whole 21-day macro cycle that was very, very heavily influenced around power and capacity.
I love it, mate. I love that. I love the fact that you did have that kind of moment where you looked at your own kind of influence and your own career a little bit. I had coaches that pushed me early on, like that. Look, sprinting's been around for a while, and it's been at the level that it's been at for 20, 25 years now. You go all the way back to kind of the the early Americans in '88 kind of thing, and then in the '90s and the influence that Gennady and Popov had, and then into what Clemmy and the Aussies were doing early on, and then the way that kind of sprinting has developed, and the Americans themselves, not losing a relay up until 2000, and it was like sprinting was this thing. And then so I had the choice too, kind of like where you are, of like, well, do I just want to just cut and paste, or the coaches that were pushing me, the David Marshes and those types of coaches that had an influence on me, where it was saying like, Brett, trust yourself, back yourself, like think outside a little bit more, go out and put yourself in a dark room and force yourself to create, and that sounds like what you've done too, of like, all right, okay, I'm getting all this information coming in, but I was like, what do I stand for? What do I believe in? And so what I did with Sprint was kind of like start to explore, based on what I knew and what other people were telling me, but then having that ability to explore and then create and then say, well, wow, this is mine and this is working. It doesn't mean that it's the only way. It's just my way, and I'm having fun with it and I'm exploring it. So it sounds very similar to what you're doing. And I
was really fortunate. I had some really open-minded people, and the names that you just mentioned, like my colleague that I mentioned earlier, Nathan Doyle. He was ready. He was ready to try something different. Dr. Danielle Formosa, she had a biomech, human movement background that was different to none. And then I mentioned Mark McKean early. So it was really exciting. It was really exciting to like just spew out ideas and massage them and turn them into like a philosophy. It was really, really exciting and really, really empowering. And look, I should have started with this. I do this because I enjoy coaching this way. I enjoy the holistic balance that I get out of it. It's a template of a macro. You've still got to have the art of coaching. You've still got to have the ability to prescribe and so forth, the right sort of sessions and stick to a plan. But it just gives you scope. It forces innovation. And I enjoy it, and that's the main reason to do it. And hopefully it's successful. It becomes successful.
I love it. Well, I want to dig into it a little bit more. I just want to share the fact that I'm going to South Africa next week for the first time. I'm so excited about it. And one of the things they've said to me, or why they're bringing me over, is because they said, look, Brett, we don't know enough about sprint, and we want to kind of pick your brain. And so I'm actually going to 6 different cities in 3 weeks in South Africa. They're taking me all over South Africa. I'm going to do these coaches presentations. I'm going to do some swim clinics as well with some of the athletes and talk to them about sprinting and some of my philosophies. And some of the conversations I was having, they were just like, just tell us what to do. Tell us when to do it, how to do it, and I'm going through my plans and presentations, and I'm not presenting it that way. Like, I'm presenting ideas. I'm presenting like, these are things that I like to do, and these are things that I believe in, and these are things that I like to explore. But I want you to take the information that I'm giving you and I want you to create something different. You know, like we're not going to progress if you just cut and paste what I did, you know, 10 years ago. So yeah,
exactly right. And I think my biggest supporter and my mentor was Hawke, and Hawke never ever told me what to do or how to do it. He would find a way to conversate with me and help me find the answer. Like, never ever told me what to do, but was there for as long as the conversation needed to happen to help me discover it. You know, it was always my discovery, but with his influence and his help and his support, which was really powerful. So like, it's a philosophy. You know, it's still not going to guarantee you've got success. You've still got to have the ability and the art to coach. But it's I just like the balance, and it fits into my philosophy now.
That's awesome. Well, I did find it interesting when Mia brought it up, and I kind of dug into it a little bit with her, but I know that I got a lot of questions, a lot of feedback, a lot of people commenting on the podcast itself when she talked about it, and I was like, well, why don't we just get the coach on here and he can tell us? So in terms of the 21 days, just talk to us about how you developed that philosophy.
Okay, so we sort of already, I think the main part was the whole ability to improve the power and capacity system.
Why did you come up with 17 days and then 4 days? That's kind of how it's cut, right? 17 and 4.
The 17 days was, a big factor is to have balance. I think to get sprinting right, and we're predominantly a 200 program and down. I'd like to actually have a distance swimmer to see if this philosophy sort of works with them, and I think it will. It'll just be the prescription of the workouts will be longer, and maybe they mightn't get the 4 days off. They might have to come in for a few light swims, or I haven't really thought too hard about it. But I used to get the adaptation wrong a lot, and I feel as though that was a big part. So I used to like to be able to, if you look at a normal week, a lot of the time it's probably like maybe some light aerobic work Monday morning. There might be some more aerobic work Monday afternoon. Then there might be some skill Tuesday morning, and then you might set up a quality set or a pace set or whatever you want to call those types of speed sets of a Tuesday afternoon. And then Wednesday morning was either a sleep in, and then Wednesday was like, I don't feel as though we ever, with the meso cycles, allow you to set those capacities properly. So if you're looking for aerobic capacity, I don't think that 1.5 training sessions was allowing you the capacity of aerobic. So I felt as though that you needed more time in those zones to build a bigger capacity. So we dedicate the first part of the week, or the first part of the macro cycle, to the aerobic phase. And then throughout the middle of the cycle, we start working on the skill. And then, aerobic can come in many forms. So we've still got some aerobic value there and some volume there. We're starting to introduce some ATP system work, some front end sprint work where it's not using a lot of glycogen, but it's skill focused. It's fast twitch, recruitment, all that sort of thing in that middle part of the intensification phase. And then we like to freshen up and drop the anaerobic capacity work in at the back of it, and then we've got our 4 days of adaptation. With this though, like a lot of it, so it's a single. I think I can't remember if Mia actually got the format right, but it's a single Monday, double Tuesday, single Wednesday, double Thursday, single Friday, double Saturday, single Sunday. So that first week's challenging because you're swimming Saturday afternoon and Sunday morning. Week 2 is double Monday, 1 Tuesday, double Wednesday, 1 Thursday, 1 Friday, 1 Saturday. And then the third week is 1 Monday, 1 Tuesday, 1 Wednesday. It's 4 days off. Now, getting back to when we put the plan together, I really feel as though swimming is possibly one of the biggest sports that overprescribe. We really do overprescribe. And,
I think so too, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, so when we put this together, we really wanted to create the value around athlete accountability. So, the Monday afternoon, we're not working out. I'm not prescribing a workout, but the athletes have to prescribe an hour of an RPE, anywhere from 3 to 7 perhaps for 1 hour. So it could be like a stand-up paddleboard session. You know, Jakey Packard used to go spearfishing. I challenge them to use their athletic intelligence and create lifestyle choices for that hour that isn't following a black line or isn't necessarily a Pilates class or an F45 class. Or, you know, I want them to, you know, we're on the Gold Coast. I want them to really make some lifestyle choices that are going to keep them active. So not dormant, but it's not being prescribed by me. And I really feel as though that's an important part of what we do. So, and even in that 4 days of adaptation, they're not, you know, they're not just to sit down and play video games or what have you. They've still got to use their athletic intelligence and get out and about and make really good lifestyle choices, but also be mindful that that is a period of time where they're looking to adapt to the overload of work that we've put in, so we can therefore start the next macro cycle with some sort of recovery to help us create the next lot of overload. Yeah.
What about sports that do you know, create some type of danger, like surfing, for instance? You're at Surfers Paradise. Are they allowed to surf? Are they allowed to skateboard, things like that? Yeah,
Jesse Coleman, he had a breakout year this year. I think he went 51.6 over at the TYR meet just recently. He loves it. He loves surfing, and mate, I surf every day of my life, so I know just how good it is for me mentally as well as physically. So again, if he wants to go surfing, you know, he's got to be mindful of risk. You know, and as we get closer to major meets, we try and pull that surfing back a little bit. But we used to have a rule of Jake, if you know, for 4 or 5 weeks out for a major competition, you can't go surfing if it's a 3 out of 10. You can only go surfing if it's a 6 or a 7 out of 10. Like, let's be serious.
Good rule.
The surf's pumping. You can't not go out.
Yeah, you can't not have it. Yeah,
yeah. You got to use your athletic intelligence again. And that's why we sort of have an RPE level, especially at the start of the week. I don't want those guys doing, you know, boxercise classes or F45 classes on Monday or the Tuesday. I want them to sort of build into that and have a lower RPE, so they're moving, but they're not setting themselves up for failure by going too hard at something that's going to affect all the prescribed work that we do have. So it's light. It could be walking the dog. It could be, you know, beach walk, or, you know, walk to Burley and back, or just something that's quite enjoyable, but it's and moving, but not too intensive. And then as we get to the back half of the week, again, they've got to be mindful because we're coming into that anaerobic work. The girls really enjoy certain things, doing activities together, and I'm happy with that. I promote that, and I also trust that they make good decisions around, and they need to, because that's a part of them having that accountability around the choices of training as well.
Are they ever allowed to have a complete day off of everything?
Yeah. Usually the Sunday is, I sort of stress it. Yeah, definitely the Sunday. But again, Sunday's usually a chance where they probably will sort of be able to live a little bit normal. And I want them to live normal, though. I really do. I want them to sort of, like, once Wednesdays finish, I want them to live normal. I want them to be, you know, always have that, you know, remember that they are an athlete, but this is what we do. This is not who we are. So, you know, I want them to be as normal as possible. I feel as though that's really important to have as a part of, you know, this macro cycle. That's that whole holistic value that we place on it.
How much, you know, coaches are different in this area too. Like, how much do you want to know what they're doing outside of the pool? Are you like clock in, clock out, or are you kind of like, hey, let me know what's going on outside so I can kind of keep tabs on all of it?
Yeah, we get them to report an RPE. That's it. Don't need to know what it is. If we're seeing an RPE of 8, then it's like, ooh, no wonder that was a bit sluggish on Thursday morning, or oh, no wonder your shoulder was sore Saturday morning, or whatever. You know, you've got 3 RPEs of 8 or more, or 7 or more in a row, plus the load that we had on you in the controlled environment. So yeah, again, I trust.
Are you using any like hardware, like, you know, watches or anything like that to
we're big on the Whoop watch. But actually, I took mine off. But at the same time, yeah, like heart rates for, because when our aerobic work, we like to make sure that's under that, a certain heart rate and things like that. So
Yeah.
We'll use as much equipment in regards to information gathering as we can.
Yeah. I love it. Now, in terms of the workouts themselves, how do you create your workouts? Like, what's your best creative mind for you?
I'm a big believer in lactate testing. So, I'm a big believer that the more lactate you can produce, the better sign that is that your motor is big enough to do so. So I'm always looking to create sets that are, at certain times of the cycles, are looking to produce as much lactate as I can, and also being as mindful as possible around about how much energy system has in it, how important the fueling was, that pre and post. And if I feel as though that all those lead-in factors have been primed, then I'm really excited to create a set that's there to mainly produce good levels of lactate.
And you're testing that? You're getting people to come in and test them during the workout?
Yeah, so we are part of the team that we've created to make this macro cycle work. We've got an amazing team. We've got biomechanists, we've got physiologists. I've got a great director in swimming of Collett Samuelson. I've got a great assistant coach, Xander Hay, and because we work at a university, I've always got students on pool deck, helping us with scribing but yeah, everyone, and then of course our strength and conditioning coach, Dr. Joseph Coyne. So each one of those guys have a seat at the table, and I really value their input and their knowledge, and we've got a rule that if we're coming up with an idea, not all 5 of us are allowed to agree. Someone has to disagree with it, even if they agree with it. And then that way it just forces us to sort of make sure that there's no holes in it. And if it survives the group, if it survives the team, then it's worthy to put into the program. So yeah, getting back to your answer, I just really like trying to provide opportunities for these guys to create lactate, tolerate lactate, and have peak lactates as high as possible. Like before Flinny went away, I always tell this story about, Kaylee was probably was one of the best I've had in this regard. Like, so our heart rate monitors don't test over 25 mils. So if you got more than 25 mil in there,
I clocked it a couple of times.
Yeah. So we didn't get a reading on Kaylee for over 9.5 minutes. So, and then we got our first reading back at 24.7 after 9.5 minutes.
This is coming out of her eyeballs.
Oh mate, she was like, she could taste it. It was rolling off the tongue.
Yeah. That's the worst feeling.
Yeah.
Those things are brutal.
Yeah. So Flinny got one at 8.5, and he said, "Oh well, it's not Kaylee's record, but I'm pretty happy with that." And I said, "Mate, you should do that." He'd be stinging right now, and he was. But that's just for certain types of the planning. There's obviously times where it's going to come back to more specificity of stroke rate and control and philosophy around, all right, how can we simulate some of this anaerobic training and cross it over into race practice, but a lot of the times we are either at swimming at levels of, say, less than 2 lactate or a certain heart rate, and then we're trying to produce sessions and sets where I don't like doing sets where you don't produce more than 12. 12 or 13 is probably the minimum.
How would you go about, like, what kind of set are you talking about when you're producing kind of the 12?
I've got one set. What was the set? I'm sort of reluctant to talk about sets because but I just don't want people to say, "Oh, I'm going to do that set because Kaylee did that set or Flynn does that set."
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'll give you one. So I think we went the other day before we jumped on the plane. We went 50 from a dive, and this is suited 50 from a dive on 110. 50 push easy on 110, and then 50 push max effort. And we did that 3 times. Nice.
I like that.
It's just 350s, 1 dive, 1 easy, 1 push. And that was. But we'd sort of worked up through some other type sets to know that if we're getting certain sort of speed, we're getting certain sort of control, we're getting certain sort of stroke rate, stroke count. Well, this will be a good producer, and sure enough, there's factors that you see within counts and rates and control, and then of course time. It's just really good to see those numbers confirm that, okay, the engine's healthy. We're able to produce. Times are fast. Skills are there. Yeah. So that and it gives me confidence. And then there's other sets too where you might do a new set and you think, oh, I wonder what sort of lactate that produced. I was after a tolerancy type set, or I was after a peak set, or whatever. And it's like, oh my God, there was a lactate of 9. I won't do that set again. Or if I do, I might. And I'll go back to my staff and say, hey, I thought this was a really good set. This one got onto the board. Yeah. What have we done wrong? Or how can we, if I want more lactate to be produced, do I need to shorten the set? Do I need to shorten the rest? Do I need to increase the rest? So I think it just helps you be accountable to the set more so than just throwing it up there and just sort of recording, oh shit, that was no good. Or that was, maybe it was because, we're under a little bit more load than we were last time we did this set, or what have you. A lot of the times it's probably in the prescription of planning the set, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
But
like that.
Yeah, it just creates a lot of conversations more so than just an unknown of, okay, that was a great set or that wasn't such a good set.
Former swimmers looking for a way to give back to the sport in New York City? Reach out to Imagine Swimming. Since 2002, they've been the premier learn to swim school with international and American staff, including Olympic champions Anthony Irvin and Eric Beine. Imagine Swimming offers infant to adult classes, plus competitive team options, water polo, and an artistic swimming club coached by an Olympic silver medalist. With flagship locations across Manhattan and Brooklyn, Imagine is always looking for the next generation of swimmers to pass on their knowledge and passion for swimming.
Tired of settling for less than the best with your team's Dryland program? SwimStrong Dryland is the answer you've been looking for. With world-class Dryland programming for every age group, customized to fit your team's needs, nutritional coaching and education centered on the latest evidence-based research, leadership training and character development to promote an athlete-driven culture, sports psychology education and mental skills training, coaches' corners to promote collaboration, data-driven performance analysis, and an unrivaled family of athletes, coaches, and teams, Fast Swimming starts here.
I love the fact that you keep talking about conversation and just keep talking, like that's how you learn, that's how you grow, and that's how you reinforce, certain things too, is you talk about them. And it sounds like you got a good team. The fact that everybody I talk to in Australia now talks about sports science. Like, I think that's the separating factor. I don't know how much you know about America and where they're at, but to me, the separating factor with where Australia's at compared to even America, but potentially the rest of the world is the fact that there's a sports scientist almost in every program, especially in Queensland for sure. Like someone who knows what they're doing, whether it be solely just in your program or that person is working with 3 or 4 different programs. It just seems like every program has a sports scientist.
So I do know a little bit about the States. I've spent a bit of time at the University of Hawaii under Mike Anderson, and Mike was a trailblazer as well. He was actually quite sciencey driven around his prescription. And I mentioned Dr. Jan Prince earlier. So I think one of our grad assistant positions was not taken up as an assistant swimming coach. We got one as a massage therapist. So we had a massage therapist at the University of Hawaii, and that wasn't a big deal to me because we had a massage therapist at Miami when I was assistant coach to Dennis Cottrell. And we would do things, we would spend a lot of time in that aerobic state, but like a low aerobic state before Mike would put a quality set up. And so he was using science back in those days, so it wasn't really a shock to me, but I have sort of realized that Mike he was probably unique in that regards because I don't think a lot of people were using sports science or massage therapy or having big focus on recovery and nutrition and things like that. So I've also failed to mention that we have a full-time nutritionist. We all see the same doctor. We all and GP, and we all see the same physiotherapist. So the messages are the same. The messages are conveyed through the team. We've got a massive WhatsApp group of just coaching staff, but I think it gives confidence to the athletes, right? Like they're working their brains out here. Most of my guys are student athletes, and they're students first, athletes second. But don't get me wrong, we're looking to get good grades, but we're also looking to swim well and make Australian teams and win medals and all that sort of stuff. So they're working their tails off. They're working hard. So I just like them to know that, yeah, so are we. You know, we got you. We're gonna make sure we bring the best people around us to give you the best possible chance.
Mate, it's amazing, yeah. Like the high performance. Where has this come from? Like, there seems to me to be like it was definitely around a little bit when I was there. You know, I'm talking probably now, let's say 20 years ago, right? So in the last 20 years, it's just everywhere. You've got these teams of people in every program now. So who encouraged that? Who developed that from the leadership point of view?
Oh, well, I have to give credit to the QAS, the Queensland Academy of Sport. They've been a driver of this ever since I've been on the scene.
Right.
I think I started coaching in 97.
Yep.
97, and Dennis had QAS sports science guys working with him back in those days, you know. And, Tim Kerrison, funnily enough, was the first sports scientist that I came across, and Tim Kerrison, believe it or not, was the same guy that was head of the Sky cycling team that won 6 or 7 Tour de France's. So go figure, you know, no surprise there for me anyway. And Timmy's back at the QAS now, and
oh really?
To have him back in the sport's been a blessing as well. But yeah, so I'm going to say, but I'd also like to think that the AIS was a big driver back in the day too, mate. That was. I think you might have spent a little bit of time there too, or done some testing and bits and pieces. But I think also the demise of the AIS might have forced and Swiss and the QAS and the Sassies and all these guys to step up and really take ownership of each state, more so than AIS taking ownership of the nation, I guess.
Yeah.
And then Yako, he was amazing. You know, like he's got a brilliant mind. He's got a brilliant manner.
So it feels like there was a shift then when he was here. Yeah. Yeah,
and he saw it, and I think he just promoted it, and he just got about the coaches and said, "What do you need?" There was never a roadblock for Yako. If we needed something, he made it happen. And and that gave us confidence to do what we did and to know it was working. And he was a hell of a head coach. And then Rowan's just picked up the baton and got on with it. You know?
I was going to say that. It sounds like Rowan just picked it up.
Rowan's his understudy, and Rowan Rowan's got a CV as long as anyone. So, but to have Yako as the influence in there,
right?
Prior to him taking over, I think that was important, and he's done a killer job as well. So we're big on science, mate. We're big. It's I don't see why he wouldn't be.
Well, I'm telling you, it's a missing piece in America, mate. And look, I'm over here, so I would imagine I'm on the outer circle. I'm not on the inner circle of U.S. swimming. I'm in with the coaches. I know all the coaches really well, but I'm not in the inner circle of U.S. swimming. But I would imagine it would have to be panic stations to think that Australia could beat you on the gold medal tally. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. How could Australia beat you on the gold medal tally? There are hundreds of thousands of swimmers in America, hundreds of thousands. And there's programs on every street corner. There's a swim program everywhere, mate. This is a country of almost 400 million people. It's insane to think that Australia could beat you on the gold medal tally.
I think, to be honest with you, they still are the pinnacle of our sport. I think for years and years we've admired them. I think for years and years we've chased them. For years and years I think sometimes it's a little bit easier to be the chaser than to be chased. Hawke used to say it would take 2 types of hunger, one to get there, but a completely different one to stay there. And I think we've just been chasing them. We've been hungry for many, many years. And I think if you want to chase and finally catch something or somebody, you've just got to work hard. And I think maybe that's what it is. We've just been working hard, and we've just been working with innovation. But we're under no illusion whatsoever. America is still the #1 swimming nation in the world, as far as I'm concerned. The fact that we can get up and take a few medals off from here and there, it's fantastic. That just sort of gives us a little bit of confidence and satisfaction that what we're doing is working. But we're still got a long way to go to match anything they're doing or what they're about to do at the next meet. So yeah, I don't read too much into what others are doing. Let's just focus on what we can do and do it as best we can and celebrate the result.
Well, yeah, celebrate the result, and there are some things I think I would agree with you there, and then there's others that I disagree. And I mean, look, 2023 is the year of Australian swimming. You won the gold medal tally. It's your year. You know, like, don't look back and don't look forward. It is what it is right now. Australia's #1 right now. I'm not talking about next year. Yeah, America's going to come back and they're gonna throw everything they got at you at the Olympics, and I would imagine there would have to be a hunger to want to take that back. I know swimmers, I know guys, you know, Ryan Murphy, he's not the type of guy that's going to sit there and take that kind of thing. Like he's a leader and he's a competitor. So they have people, I know, but it's a very young team as well. Yeah. It was a very young team this year. I'm not sure what it's going to be like next year, but you got to have your swimmers come back. You know the ones that may have been missing, like the Caleb Dressels and the Simone Manuels, to say like, hey, this is we don't stand for this. Like, we're #1. You know, that's what I would imagine you'd have to have, right? Like, but you can't have a 16-year-old kid who swam at the World Championships this year and say, well, that's got to be your leader next year. Like, they're going to be 17. It's like they're still going to be young. You know, you got to have those people who have been there, done that, to say like, this isn't acceptable. Like, we're not losing again 2 years in a row. That's what I would imagine, right?
Yeah, I'm not dumping any fuel on this because I've seen what they've done in the past. I've seen them maybe have an average meet leading into the Olympics, and then my God, they just light up. So
yeah, well, the other side of it is they won 20 silvers. You know, so it was like they were right there. So like they could have won 20 golds based on the fact that they won 20 silvers. You know, so like there's always that.
Yeah, and I can't imagine that those champions that you mentioned are going to take that laying down. You know, they're going to maybe take that personally and get up and kick some tail. And I don't want to be the one responsible for fueling that. That's for sure.
Well, I don't think you have to be. I can be that person. But but what I would say is, look, I don't want it to be. Look, I'm down the middle in terms of like, if it's Australia, it's Australia. If it's America, it's America. I want great competition. You know, like I'm happy either way. Like I want the best to rise and shine and compete. And what I saw this year was Australia stand up and say, we've had enough. We're gonna take this thing. That's great. If America turn around and say that next year, that's great too. You know, like come back and have a fight. You know, have a wrestle. You know, like a water wrestle. That's fine. But either way,
let's not forget the rest of the world too, mate. The Europeans are coming. Like it's our sports are a real vanilla patch at the moment. I reckon it's very consistent and it's coming everywhere. It's really exciting.
Yeah, well, there's a sharing of information. The world has got smaller, mate. You know, like you and I are sitting here talking about 17 and 4. People have never heard that before. All of a sudden, they're going to sit here and listen to this. They're going to start to, you know, think about it and study it and maybe implement it. But that's everywhere, right? Like it's happening all over the place. I'm talking to swimmers. I'm talking to coaches. Like the world is shrinking, right? And that's good. Like we should be. And I think that's what we saw at the World Championships. When we saw world records being broken. I mean, these are suited world records. We're getting close. Cam McAvoy went 21 flat. I mean, like he's this far from a suited world record. Like that's what we want, right? We want people pushing the boundaries. So I'm okay with the sharing of information and making everybody better. And you're right, it's very competitive. But at the end of the day, I think there's going to be a team title, and it was good that you won it this year for sure. But in terms of that, you know, I would imagine. Look, I can tell you this: the rest of the world is saying, including America, they're saying, what's going on with the women in Australia, especially the women. The women are at a peak right now. It seems like there's just a never-ending supply of fast female swimmers in Australia. So, like, what's your impression of why that is the case right now?
Again, I think we're just using a little bit more science in our prescription of workouts. It's, you know, I think we've got a lot of young coaches. Michaela Patterson, for example, is a young coach of Olivia. What's Liv's last name? I forgot. Wanch. She anchored the women's 4x1 relay overnight.
The juniors,
like a 52.7, I think it was.
Oh God, another one.
Yeah, and Michaela's a young coach. You know, she's like young female coach. Been around for a little bit, but just enjoys coaching. She enjoys the challenge of you know, creating sessions and sets, and so I'm going to put it down to just a little bit more creative around sprint training, perhaps. I don't know, but you we still work hard. I know they do. I know our sprinters work hard, but I think we're just paying a little bit more attention to detail and around skills and
well, the fact that you know about her is impressive as well. The fact that you know who she is and what she stands for and what she believes in, I think is testament to the fact that you're not isolating yourselves as coaches. It seems like you're pulling in. It seems like you're sharing ideas. It seems like you're getting to know each other and you're sharing ideas. You know, so even some of these camps that you guys have been putting together, it seems like, yeah, you go in there and you're working out together, but the coaches are sitting together around tables and sharing information. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And maybe one or two cold beverages are involved as well.
Yeah, why not?
But, you're right. And like, even if you have a look at this year, it's been a crazy year for us. Like, we had 4 national teams go away, including the World Championship team. So we, all the guys that our development teams, our athletes that sort of have been on national teams before that may have missed out on this. Like, we created opportunities for them to still go abroad this year and race and still have a secondary meet. So the investment's there. We believe in that. We're trying to improve our depth. I think we're doing that. We're knowledge sharing. And again, Yarko promoted that and Rowan has continued that. We're rolling, mate. We're feeling really good about our athletes and their mindsets and their leadership and their values. And you gotta make hay while the sun shines. So we're all working pretty hard around that and and enjoying it too. Actually,
How do you create space? How do you ensure longevity in this, mate, so that you can be just as vibrant? And if I was to talk to you 10 years from now, you just be as vibrant, as excited as you are today. How do you create that in your own personal life?
Well, my macro cycle for sure. Like, I give myself 4 days off too. Like, not just the athletes, but I challenge my athletes to put a calendar up on the fridge and just get a highlighter and then just run through the macro cycles and every 4 days that they have off, just highlight it so they can plan some normality around life. And some of them might have to catch up some study, but they can see that, and I think by us not prescribing that spin session on Monday afternoon, knowing that the athlete's going to go into the gym or just go for a ride, I don't have to be there. They haven't got me there barking down orders at them. Like, I think there's a lot of value in athlete accountability. And once the athlete realizes that's what it is and appreciates that, I think that's a definite help. And
that gives you some freedom too, to be able to say, like, I don't have to stress right now. I know they're doing it.
And if I'm barking, I'm barking. It's fresh, like, it's not, oh, you got me last night and here he is again this morning. No. They get time away from me and I get time away from them, and I trust them. So that helps. And I think that was probably the hardest thing for me, was to actually trust that and not actually have to control that.
Right.
It took a little bit.
Yeah.
But I was lucky Paulus would sort of tell me how many times he made the mistake of not trusting his new plan of power and capacity. And I think he wasted like 4 years of trying it for 6 weeks. Oh, they've lost fitness, or like, just blaming the fact that he wasn't working hard enough or they weren't working hard enough. So I sort of had that in my pocket, knowing that, well, I'm not going to waste 4 years on this. If I'm going to waste any time on this, it's going to be in the planning. And if I don't think it's going to work, if my team sort of can't support what we're trying to do, I won't do it. But once I made my mind up that I was going to do it, it had all the balances in there for that long-term athlete development, for that longevity, and it's all based around holistics and balance for not just coach but athlete. So when the session, and the kids know that, they know that we'd even create things that, okay, for the first 6 days of this week, there's probably going to be some meters in there, and there's probably going to be a lot of attention required around negative splitting stroke counts or increasing kicks off walls, or it's not chasing 12/400s, descending time cycle, ready to go. Like, there's challenges like that. That one could add 2 fly kicks off every wall. That one could be breath drop, by the 25s. That one could be descend stroke count. That one could be ascend stroke rate. Who knows? Like, there could be 12/400s. I couldn't tell you the last time I put 1200, 400s on a board. But if I did, that's how it'd be. It'd be like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I remember, like I remember Kylie Palmer after one session said, "Oh, can I have a minute? Can I have a word?" And I said, "Yeah, what's up?" And she goes, "I'm knackered and I'm so tired." I said, "Okay, do you want to put some fins on and like finish it?" And she goes, "No, I'm actually like I can't scratch. I want to up out." And I've gone, "Really?" She goes, "Yeah, I can't believe just how tired this session's made my muscles, my mind." She said, "Oh, I'm buggered," and it's all because of there was skill focuses, there was kick counts, or there was technical focuses, and yeah, there was maybe the last 3 might have been on a descending time cycle just to sort of finish with a heart rate maybe at 160 or 165 on the last one, more so than have it 165 or whatever throughout the set, or, peaking up and down throughout the set. So it was more. So that takes a toll on you mentally, but it also takes a toll on you physically. So we've prescribed to these guys that, okay, if you come in one morning and you find that one of the assistant coaches are really chirping, it's like, "Morning, Ben, how are you?" And it's like, "Oh, I'm really tired, coach, but thanks for asking." We're going to be okay with that because we know that's where you're going to be because we've created that. So as long as you know that's where you are, it's okay to be there. So we understand.
When you talk about power and capacity, as in more so capacity early on, and then probably more so capacity as the cycle goes on, are you matching that in the Dryland as well, in the gym?
Yeah. But that again, that has a different flavor altogether. I'm not the world's greatest S&C. I'm a shocking. I've got no qualifications in strength and conditioning whatsoever.
Do you go and watch them work out?
No, I go.
So you trust the strength coach there?
Absolute 100% faith and trust.
Now, does he talk to you about where you are, and then he tries to kind of figure out how to match it?
Yeah. So that all comes in our planning meetings.
Right.
He knows when the meets are on. And our physiologist sits with us, and he'll, and our physiotherapist sits with us when we plan. Our biomechanist sits with us when we plan. And it's he's one of the best in the country, if not the best in the country. So I have complete autonomy in that role. And
how many workouts? I mean, what was the workout cycle? If you got 17 days, what is the gym and strength and conditioning within that?
We have 8 sessions, prescribed sessions over that period.
Okay.
So you go 3 1 week, 3 the second week, 2 the third week.
Okay.
And a lot of the times they will coincide with what we're trying to create. So if it's just the volume's if the volume's high but the intensity's low, then that might be a chance for us to work a little bit of power in that phase. And then as the intensity goes up through the middle, or the volume and this comes down and the skill goes up, then that might be a chance for something else. But on that week 3, we're looking to really make sure that the athletes are explosive and ready to go and not fatigued through. And we'll actually do gym post on those sessions. Whereas the other, if a gym's taking a really important phase in a certain macro cycle, we'll do gym first and then we'll swim second. So depending on what the focus is, will depend on whether the gym's in the morning, pre or post.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Vasa has been the go-to training tool outside of the pool for over 30 years. Vasa's products are ideal for developing power and proper technique in your swimmer's catch. Add a few Vasa trainers to your pool deck, and it's like adding an extra lane to your swimming pool. Go to vasatrainer.com, use code BREAD at checkout, and get 10% off anything from Vasa.
Yeah. So
do you find a difference if they come from the gym into the pool? Like, are they cached?
Yeah, I think they're compromised a little bit. So I don't really like having gym pre if I'm trying to chase something.
Right.
But if it's skill, even with certain sort of skill acquisition work, we try not to load them too much up in the gym because we want them learning a new skill, or we want them to improve a skill. That's just crazy to fatigue them with a killer gym session and then expect them to be at an optimal level of performance ability,
Right.
A lot of it's just sort of like common sense. What are we trying to do here? And we don't actually do anything that we can't test. So if we can't test it, then we don't do it.
Okay.
So, you know, if we're looking, it's like, oh, how do you know what your balance is like? Well, we use the Jan Olbrich test set. You know, like, how do you know if that work in the gym's working well? We're using plate force testing. Or how do you know that your velocity is increasing? Well, we're doing tethered sort of testing through the QAS, or you know, wet plate testing at the QAS. Or so a lot of the things we do, we test to see if there is an improvement. So whether it's, you know, we don't do skin fold tests, we do DEXA scans so we can see what the lean muscle's like, because it's not, you know, so this particular athlete could be trying to improve lean muscle. This particular athlete might be trying to improve something completely different. So it's not a sort of one glove fits all philosophy.
Yeah. I love the fact that you said you're working out when they're working out. So you incorporate your own workouts too. You look after yourself. Try to,
mate. Try to.
That's good. I like
that.
But
like, so, and Joe's awesome. So I don't need to be there again.
Right. Yeah.
Like if I need to know anything, like I probably have more non-contact with Joe than he does contact with the athletes. So if he gives us, say, 9 hours a week of contact, I probably get 10 hours of non-contact with him, where we're talking or communicating around what he's seeing or what he's worried about, or if he wasn't sure about something, or if he wants to make a little change or what have you, or if he's not happy with something, you know, like.
So he's coming to the pool to watch workouts at times?
Yeah, absolutely. He actually jumps in the pool and does a little bit of a swim before he jumps in the gym with him.
Nice.
He's a bit of a fitness fanatic, as you'd say. But
it sounds like the health and wellness of everybody is important in the program.
Yeah. So yeah, it is.
Which is good. Which is a good thing, mate.
Yeah.
Really good thing. Trust me.
No, we've got some good banter there. I don't know. It's just a good vibe at the moment. It's just a good vibe. And there's a lot going on too. So our team's been quite fractured. We haven't had the whole team in the pool for probably for a few months now. But we've all been in certain parts, and some of the athletes that didn't make teams have put off their break just so they can be around for training partners for the guys that have made teams. So that's awesome.
That's cool.
So yeah.
How many people in your direct line of coaching?
Athletes?
Yeah.
14.
14. Okay.
Yeah. 14 athletes and I think 7 staff.
And how do you select who comes in and out, like that kind of thing? You know, if someone wanted to, is it dependent on like, hey, you got to be in by the start of the season, or is someone allowed to come to you halfway through and say, hey, I'd like to join?
Yeah, there's always an exception to every rule, right? Yeah. But we're very fortunate. We've Gina Reinhardt is a major sponsor of our program. Yeah. She puts up 2 incredible opportunities / scholarships.
Right.
So yeah, we have 2 athletes come in every year that are successful in that grant and that scholarship. And usually they're not only the best academic people that are around, but they're fantastic student athletes. So our focus is on that. We don't sort of rely on people coming into our program from other programs. We would prefer to get them in and through that system and then train them up our way, I guess. But
nice.
You accept that rule.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you have a pretty direct line of contact with Bond University?
Yeah, so we have a front office. So, you know, like for many years, you sort of hear about, you know, successful teams, whether it's New England Patriots or that, Hawthorn Football Club or St. George Rugby League Club or whatever.
Right.
And they always talk about how professional and how awesome their front office is. Well, I have one of those as well. I've got a director of sport. I've got a student athlete liaison officer, academic advisors. I've got a team, like a front office team that are there as well.
Which is great. So you don't have to lose athletes to wanting to go to America then.
And I did lose one a little while ago to Auburn, but I promote that as well. You know, like it's a great opportunity. Like I'm not going to. If you get a chance to swim or study or work abroad, then I promote that. But hopefully, with our brand and what we do here, it sort of stems that flow from happening. But
I'd never
say no to it. Honestly, I think I worked in the NC2A system. I loved it.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna,
yeah.
I'm
But it's good. It's good that you got something that is comparable, so they don't have to be like, well, there's nothing here for me. There's something.
Exactly.
There's something there for them, which is great.
And a lot of the things that we do is borrowed from what the American system is.
Yeah,
and
sure.
It's done for a long time, and then we just put our own little twist on it. And yeah, but a lot of the skeleton of what that is what we use. So it's a little bit of that is borrowed for sure.
Yeah, it needs more of it. Do you think it is replicable? Like, do you think other program, like let's say, I'm just going to throw it out there, like a Sydney Uni or something. Do you think other places could take what you were doing and copy?
Yeah. My VC Tim, he's fantastic. Like he's a big promoter of student athletes and academic, the ability to do both and the importance of both. So yeah, I think it's going to require the backing of a vice chancellor. But yeah, if it's done properly, and I think we can do it. Definitely not to the scale that America does it, but there'd be no reason why we couldn't have half a dozen to a dozen universities do what we do.
I think
it's just going to take one from the top to help and support, and I think the rest can sort of be created. Just need a little bit of time.
Yeah, it's awesome that you got Gina there. That sounds like a great situation. And like Australian, the swimming in Australia seems to be healthy, but there seems to be something severely wrong with swimming Australia. What the fuck is going on with swimming Australia right now?
I don't know. I don't really. I'm a funny one. I sort of put curtains up if it doesn't affect me in a way, I guess. Like if I haven't got a solution, or if I'm not a part of the problem, then I don't sort of acknowledge it or sweat it too much, because I don't know. It's
just seems like it's at odds. Like, I don't know, the reports that come out, like, Australia wins the medal tally at the World Championships, and then there's the fifth, president going through swimming Australia. It's like in 3 years or something. It's like, what the fuck's going on?
So that's sort of like that boardroom level. All I know is, like, with our high performance crew, our head coach have been sublime for the last 9 years, and that's the only thing that affects us. Like, it probably affects more Rowan. It's probably more of a question for Rowan, but his leadership and Jaco's leadership and protection from all that has been second to none. And those guys probably have more of an issue. And
well, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? If you can have success and you can have that leadership there, then why do you even need swimming Australia? Like, they seem to be useless. They're just the infighting that's going on, and yet over here the leadership and the things that are going on it's just at odds.
It's just a little bit frustrating to read it, I guess, because I know how hard everyone's working. Right. I know how many hours I'm putting in. I know how many hours my athletes are putting in. I know how many hours Dean Boxall's putting in and his athletes. And I know how bloody hard Rowan and Tamara and all the people that are making this happen are working. So to sort of see that not reflected by that is probably the only sort of thing I'll say. But I just got to put full faith in Ro that he's going to do what he needs to do, which allows us to do what we need to do, and then we deliver that through to the athletes' opportunity.
Well, hopefully none of this nonsense affects the next 12 months, which would be good. So in terms of that, what's on the menu? So what are you aiming for? The trial. When are the trials?
Probably about 9 months.
Trials are in about 9 months. So, like, what would be your big kind of points? Are you traveling overseas at all over the next 9 months? Yeah,
we're going to take off to the World Cups in about 2.5 weeks' time.
Okay.
So we've got a group of athletes going to head over to that.
How many?
So I've got 3 that I'm taking, but I'm also a part of the Australian teams, like sending over a bunch of coaches and some other athletes as well. So
who looks after your 11 when you're gone?
So Kyle Samuelson, my director of swimming, he's my right-hand man, my guy. Excellent. He's actually over with our guys. He's on the Australian Junior World Championship team at the moment. He's a successful coach. So, I'm looking forward to that. We've got a little bit of – so the guys I'm taking over, there'll be 2 athletes that are going to build into that meet. So we're not probably going to put a lot of pressure on performance straight away, but just sort of like performances on a little bit of training, some execution in some races, put some pressure on some skill times or some skill results more so than the result, and then try and hit that third meet and put some pressure on that third meet. got a guy by the name of Benny Armburster. He was flying all year and then pop a rib 2 weeks out from trials. So
that's a bummer.
No one saw what Benny could have done. He was, I think he was like swimming 51.9s in season.
Yeah, he was crushing it. I was bummed to see him kind of drop off.
Yeah, but he's back, baby. He's back.
He's
ripping. So he's going to be a different plan for him. We're going to let him loose on all 3 of those meets. Whereas Flinny's going to need a little bit of he'll get some time off, and then we'll build him into those meets. I haven't even spoke to him about that, so hopefully I can get to talk to him before this thing airs.
Yeah. It'll be a couple of weeks before this thing comes out, so you'll be good.
But no, mate, I don't know. It's just it's so close. It's 9 months. I said to the guys the other day, it's 10 months, guys. We're going to have to really focus in on the 1%ers. Let's start looking at 4%ers. We've got 10 months. I said, I promise you, next time we speak, next time I have this conversation, it'll be 4 months.
Yeah.
Probably be one other time that I have a conversation similar to this, and it'll be like, it'll be 6 weeks. It'll happen just like that.
Yeah.
The next 10 months will go so quick. Well, that was a month ago, and it feels like it was last week. So it's crazy, and everyone brings it. I love the Olympic year. I love it. I love that Olympic trials. There's just every man, every woman just brings their A game, and your hairs on your arms stick up, and there's been no stone unturned. Everyone just brings their best result, and I just love it. So
if you can be in Paris, I imagine you want to be there too, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I think it'll be another good meet for the team. I think that as a coach, I need to be there for my athletes. I think as a team coach, I've got definitely a lot to add. Being to a few already. Yeah. Like nothing can prepare you for Olympics except for the Olympics. I don't care what anybody says. The ability to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, like that is such an understatement. Like, it's tough, man. It's tough. So to have that experience and have that opportunity to be exposed to certain things and hopefully bring some calm and some opportunity to empower some other coaches or the athletes, then I'm up. I'm in. And
after I went to Brazil, after I went to Rio, it was my 5th Olympics in a row, and I said that's it. I never want to go to another Olympics. I've done 5. I'm great, no problem.
Mate,
I'm itching to go to Paris now. I want to go to Paris.
And sometimes you just need that hiatus, right? Sometimes you just need that little bit of a break to sort of sharpen up and to get that hunger back. But Rio was challenging, right? Like, I remember, I think it was the final of the women's 200 breast. Or it might have been the morning of the heat, actually. And I get a phone call. What am I going to do for breakfast? It's like, well, go to the hall. I can't. The roof's blowing off. What am I supposed to do now? It's like, what? Wait, the roof's blown off. You remember how the whole roof is straight off the dining hall?
The dining hall. Yeah, I was in there when it was blowing like that. Rio wore me down, mate. Rio was one of those ones where it was like, you guys talk about high performance and working together and everything clicking. It was the opposite for the Brazilian team. It's just they couldn't get out of their own way. They couldn't figure it out, and it was just frustrating. I was just frustrated being there. I was like, oh, this is painful. It's like they just couldn't work together as a unit to get the best result. It was like everyone was trying to get their win for them and their program or their coach. It was just like it was everyone working against each other. It was like
I spent a couple of seasons with Minna Tennis Club, right? Yeah, and there was some decent rivalries between those elite sporting organizations, wasn't there?
Big money, big rivalries.
But I enjoyed my time there. It was good, but it was challenging.
Yeah, definitely experience. But and I love representing Brazil. I love the country. I love the people. But just people working against each other just for their own glory. It was just like, can we just come together as a team right now? Can we be Brazil? And it was tough. But yeah. So anyway, now I'm itching to go to Paris. And Paris is going to be phenomenal, mate. If you get a place on the pool deck there, that's going to be the place to be, because I think there's going to be some hot swimming in Paris too. Yeah.
Isn't it funny? Like I thought there were some great meets at Tokyo, like some swims, and there's been some amazing meets post Tokyo, and if you look at it, it's post COVID. Like
post COVID,
people didn't even know if we were ever going to swim again, and if we were going to swim again, when it was going to be. Or I just wonder how much that sort of break from everything has, like, not just freshened the athletes up or or help coaches realize that, oh shit, something nearly got taken away from us. You know, you sort of therefore realize just how important it was, or whether we were taking it for granted or not, whether it's coach or athlete. But my God, there's been the last 12 months, there's been a lot of racing and a lot of very good racing. So yeah, 100% agree with you. I think Paris is going to go off its head. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, listen, mate, I appreciate this. I know it's your day to kind of relax the rest of the afternoon. There might be some surf out there. I don't know what's going on in Surfers Paradise right now, but I'd love to be there myself. But
just looking out my window, it's actually there is waves.
Oh shit, you can see that out your window. That's fantastic.
Yeah, like on the beach.
Oh, brilliant. I love it, mate. Appreciate this, mate. I'm glad we figured it out and got it done. You're a legend.
I really appreciate your time too, mate. Keep up the work, keep doing what you're doing. Love it.
Yeah, I hope you like it. You know, I'm trying to get as much as I can from around the world, mate. You know, just did actually one that's going to come out right before you, which isn't out yet. Zach Stublady Cook, fantastic interview with him. What a great kid he is.
Yeah, he owns his craft, that guy. I often speak about Zach and how impressed I am as he's just his dedication and diligence that he has in regards to his like craft. He's so due diligent, mate. I don't think I know anyone. I know some athletes that are very good at it. Don't get me wrong. But he owns it.
Nah, it's no wonder that he became a world record holder after speaking to him and getting in his head. And that it's going to be no shock to me if he comes back and figures it out for next year too. You know, like he's just one of those guys. I
don't know how much he tells you, but I think he might have had a little injury or something like that, mate. He'll be back. He'll be back.
I hope he did have a little injury because
he'll be back.
I want to see. Yeah, what a great kid, and I hope he gets down to that 58 low mark. If he can get some strength and speed into that with that endurance and that technique that he has, mate, he's going to be deadly.
So that's the other thing. Like, you know, sort of like you look at that power and capacity. The guy that won the 200 is also the guy that won the 50.
Yeah.
Won the 200 and
50,
won the
100, 200.
They won the 100. Like, come on. Like, there's got to be if you're always improving your 50 and you're always improving your 200, then your hundred's got to be smoking. It's got to be coming as well.
For sure. Yeah.
And I think that Zacky's skills are getting better. Yeah. As I said, his due diligence around all the other things that he does so well is there, and maybe that's the next string to the bow. Perhaps we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Well, listen, mate, you got a good group, so good luck with them. You got some kids firing yourself, so good luck with your next 9, 10 months. All right.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers, mate. Take care.
Bye.
Destro Swim Towers. Gain strength in the water with a tower of power. Save $150 per double swim tower by using code BRETT, BRETT, at checkout. DestroMachines.com.